Nostradamus presents the LA riots versus the LA ICE protests. Viewer discretion is advised. A lot of the information in this content has never been told to you before until now. Viewer discretion is advised. The Illuminati to the LA fires. 29 days, 11 months. 2 towers were hit on 9/11. The Illuminati card game predicted the 9/11 attacks years in advance. Counting from the 1st to the 29th is 29 days. Notice the weeks is 11/27. 9/11 plus the first 9/11 call will equal 11/27. First discussions of an Illuminati card game was based off the book series. Space Gamer issue number 43 was released on 9/11 forwards and backwards. 8 plus 1 is 9/11. The first Illuminati card game was released on 7/23/1982 to the LA riots. 9 years, 9 months, 117 total months apart. And we mentioned the Illuminati card game. Illuminati was found in May. Illuminati's 10 letters. Take all the numbers that separate the Illuminati card game release to the LA riots. All the numbers will total first 9/11 call, 16th date, 2nd month. And then count all the numbers. You have 9, 14, 17, 20, 24, 27, 30, 31, 35, 38 numbers. Subtract 38. Central casting was found on 12/4. The LA riots to 9/11. 2 towers hit on 9/11 apart. Bohemian Grove was found on April 13th. Central Castings was found on 12/4/1925. They were found 2 towers hit on 9/11 apart to 9/11. And the LA riots to 9/11 was the same numbers apart. The LA protests started on 6/6. 254 was the day of the year 9/11 took place on. Remember how we already mentioned Bohemian Grove? Bohemian Grove is a 4.25 square mile redwood forest. Central casting to the LA riots is 425 apart. And we mentioned already earlier how the LA riots were 4 months and 13 days between 9/11. And Bohemian Grove was found on April 13th. Central Casting is a body double / crisis actor agency. What are protesters? Paid crisis actors. 25 days and 4 months between the LA riots and Central Casting. And then another 254 in the total days apart. Again, that's the day of the year 9/11 happened on. The 254th day of the year. Central Casting was found on 12/4. The LA riots ended on the 124th day of the year. The LA riots started in April, 4th month, 5 letters. On the 29th date. 2 plus 9 is 11. 2 towers hit on 9/11. Multiply the year of the protests. First 9/11 call, 16th date, 2nd month. Paid crisis actors. 19 total. 16 letters, 3 words. Put it to numbers. 183 times 19, which is 16 letters and 3 words. First 9/11 call, 216. The LA riots started on Wednesday. 9 letters, 1 word, 100 to numbers. 9/11. For those that want a background on what 9/11 is corresponding to the crucifixion of Christ. 9th hour, Jesus Christ, 11 letters, died on. Now we have Rodney King involvement and how he ties in with all this. So we showed earlier in the video the Illuminati card game was released on July 23rd, 1982, and compared it to the LA riots. It was 9 years, 9 months, 117 total months apart. So now check this out. Rodney King was beaten on the 9th week of the year, a 117 mile per hour pursuit. Now, for those of you that are not aware of who Rodney King is, or really the background of the car that Rodney King was driving, most people generally know that the car that Rodney King was driving was not capable of even driving over 110 miles an hour, let alone 117 miles an hour. Just look up his car. It's called a Hyundai XL. We'll show you that in this video. But Rodney King was beaten on the 9th week of the year, driving 117 miles an hour. Really. And again, the Illuminati card game released 9 years, 9 months, 117 total months apart to the LA riots. Rodney King was beaten on 3/3/1991, multiplied by Skull and Bones 322. 2 towers hit on 9/11 contained. If that's not crazy enough, you see the 169? That is just magically the day of the year Rodney King died on. Magically. Not the 170th day of the year, wasn't the 168th. He died on the 169th day of the year. Central casting to the LA riots, we already showed, was 254 apart. Protesters equal paid crisis actors. Rodney King was born on the 2nd date of April, 5 letters, the 4th month. 9/11 was on the 254th day of the year. Rodney King's book was published on the 2nd weekday, 54 days before he died. But of course, that's magic. The seconds apart, the book was published in April, the 4th month. April is 5 letters, 45, 666, contained in the seconds. The LA riots, or we should say the LA protests, started on Friday, 6 letters on 6/6. For those that need a visual on that. This movie, released on January 12th, 1996, 254 weeks after the Rodney King beating. 9/11 was on the 254th day of the year. Rodney King's death to the Spike Lee film was released 254 weeks after the death of Rodney King. Rodney King was 25 when he was beaten by 4 police officers. Ain't that some magic? It was 4 police officers. It wasn't 5. It wasn't 3. It was 4 specifically. Rodney King was 25. He wasn't 24. He wasn't 26. He was 25 at the time of the beating. We already showed this earlier. The Illuminati to the LA riots. 29 days, 11 months. 2 towers hit on 9/11. On the 29th of the 11th month, while riding home, Rodney King was shot in the face, arms, and back with pellets from a shotgun. And 2 plus 7 is 9/11. Rodney King won a boxing match on 9/11, 2009. 2 plus 9 is 11. And according to this, Rodney King took an ass whooping for 1 minute and 19 seconds. Come on now, really? 1 minute and 19 seconds. It's not a minute 18 seconds. It wasn't a minute and 20 seconds. No, this guy took a literal ass whooping for a whole minute and 19 seconds. We're going to have to watch the video, because after you watch the video, you will realize that Rodney King was actually beaten for a lot longer than a minute and 19 seconds. But because this information is there, we had to throw it in there for y'all. You got to get a good look at that for a couple of seconds here. Unbelievable. Rodney King beating to the Cynthia Kelly marriage. 9/11 weeks apart to the beating. Of course it was. Of course it was. And if you look at the year that Rodney King took his beating in, it contains 9/11 twice. There it is, so y'all can see it for yourself. 1966 is the foundation year of the Church of Satan. Here are some movies and TV shows referencing Rodney King. American History X, released 91 months apart to the Rodney King beating in the 10th month. October is 10, 9/11. 0 holds no value. The running time for American History X is 119 minutes. Of course it is. It's not 118, it wasn't 120, it's 119 minutes. Reverse order of 9/11. Dark Blue to the Rodney King death, 9 years and 111 months apart. 111 days left in the year when the attack happened. Rodney King took his beating on 3/3, and the riots started in April, the 4th month. April is 5 letters. Dark Blue with Kurt Russell released 11/19 apart to the Rodney King beating. Counting from the 3rd to the 21st is 19 days. This would be 9/11 read backwards. It released 625 weeks apart to the beating. Rodney King took his beating on the 62nd day of the year in March, 5 letters. The Rodney King beating took place on the 9th week of the year, with Dark Blue releasing 11 years later. Rodney King's death to King Richard, which released on 11/19, by the way, and we just showed how Dark Blue has 11/19 in it twice. Again, counting from the 3rd to the 21st is 19 days. You have 11/19, 11/19. 9 years and 113 months apart, King Richard to the Rodney King death. To Rodney King's death, not the Rodney King death. Rodney King took his beating in the 3rd month. This episode aired on 11/19. It was season 9, episode 9. That released in month 11. Rodney King received his settlement for the beating on 6/1/1994, which was on Wednesday, 9 letters. And George Floyd's family got their settlement on the 11th week of the year, 9/11. And then check this part out. It just so happens that Rodney King's settlement and the George Floyd family settlement are 9/11 apart. Just magically, you know? That's the way it's supposed to be. The Rodney King beating to the chronic. 9 months, 1 year, 12 days apart. 2 towers hit on 9/11. And this is the song that specifically talks about the Rodney King beating and the LA riots that happened. Rodney King beating to the SAG album is separated by a year and 19 days. Reverse 9/11. The Rodney King beating to the Allboro Kings. Tuesday, 7 letters, was 9/11. Sublime released a song called April 29th. So if you're not familiar with April 29th, that is the anniversary of the LA riots. That song released 10 months and 19 days apart to Rodney King's death. Reverse 9/11. Counting from the 30th to the 17th is 19 days. Reverse 9/11. 190 months with 10 months there. That again reads 9/11 backwards. Hunger for More, Lloyd Banks to Rodney King's death. 2 towers hit on 9/11 apart. The song specifically that talked about Rodney King is called Playboy. Rodney King died in Rialto. Rialto was found in a 9/11 year, 1911. It incorporated on 11/17/1911. Notice that the town of Rialto was incorporated 53 years before Rodney King was born. 53 years. Rodney King was beaten in March, 5 letters, the 3rd month, by 4 police officers. Rodney King beating to the Carter 3. The 3. Rodney King was beaten on 3/3. 901 weeks apart, and the Carter 3 dropped on the 10th, 9/11. The specific song that talked about Rodney King is called Mrs. Officer. The band Fever 333 released a song called Burn It on 9/11, backwards, 9th date, 11th month, and that also referenced Rodney King. Just wait until y'all see the 333 pattern later in this video. We're not going to talk about that just yet, because that is really in depth, and that will really blow your mind if this stuff has not already blown your mind. It's about to get even crazier. Rodney King to the Hyundai XL USA release. So Rodney King was driving a Hyundai XL. The first article talking about the release of the Hyundai XL in America was published on 2/28/1986. At containment of 9/11 weeks apart to Rodney King's birth. That's some magic, of course. The actual release of the car in America was on 2/20. But it was first presented in a car magazine on 2/28/1986, so that's what that date represents. The 617 pattern. Rodney King was driving the Hansen Dam. The Hansen Dam construction started on September 20th, 1939, and it just so happens to magically be 617 months apart to the Rodney King beating. Not 616 months, not 618 months, 617, because Rodney King died on 6/17. Of course he did. That's the way it's supposed to be. The California Highway Patrol was found on August 14th, 1929, to the Rodney King beating. It's also just magically 6 months and 17 days between the dates. Of course it is. What date did Rodney King die on? You guessed it, 6/17, because it's magic. There it is. Take a look for yourself. But as always, Numberdamus will mention, he made up the numbers. Just like he made all the events too. Even though he wasn't even born when the LA riots were going on. He wasn't even born when Rodney King was taking an ass whooping. But yet he still created all these crazy events. He orchestrated everything, and he made up the numbers while doing all that crazy stuff in the background. Ain't that wild? The Freemasonry connections excluding 333. Freemasonry to the Rodney King beating. Again, 2 towers hit on 9/11. 9/11 here. Can't make it up. It's all there. Rodney King to his own beating, 624 contained in the seconds apart. Hyundai, the car that Rodney King was driving, Hyundai was found on a 29th date. What date did the LA riots start? The 29th date. Hyundai started in the 12th month, Freemasonry 624. Rodney King to his death, he was beaten in the 3rd month, Freemasonry found on the 24th date of month 6. The numbers suggest Rodney King was sacrificed by the Freemasons. That's what the numbers say. Rodney King to his death, he just magically happened to be 47 years old, which is the Masonic compass at 47 degrees. First 9/11 call was placed on 2/16. So Rodney King died 47 years, 2 months, and 16 days apart to his birthday. Counting from the 2nd to the 17th is 16 days. The numbers suggest Rodney King orchestrated his own beating, and the officers involved are connected to Freemasonry or involved in Freemasonry. What would the real circumstances be if Rodney King was white? Would it even have made the news? Probably not. Which, by the way, white people are also beaten up by the police on a daily basis, and it doesn't get any news coverage. Freemasonry, the officer Kuhn, who was one of the officers that was beating on Rodney King that day. Freemasonry to his birth date. Freemasonry found on the 24th of the 6th month. By the way, should we just ignore The fact that his last name is Coon and black people are often referred to as coons with a C, right? Or that's not a big deal at all. This is just completely normal. Out of all the responding officers, it just so happened that this guy has a last name of Coon in it, and he's beating on a black guy. Well, am I missing something? Or does this just happen to everyone? Just in case someone out there wants to think that Nostradamus is just making that information up. Here, some advertising about it. The 225 pattern. There was 225 mourners that attended the Rodney King ceremony. Not 226, not 224, there was 225. Rodney King also happened to weigh 225 pounds. The camera that recorded the Rodney King beating, it also happened to be auctioned at a starting bid of $225,000. Not $224, not $226, $225,000. I don't know about for you, but for Nostradamus, it sure sounds like Rodney King definitely orchestrated his own beating. He specifically set himself out that day to get an ass whooping. That's what the numbers say. Because it didn't happen to anyone else, but it happened to him. Donald Trump to Rodney King, and they're magically 225 months apart. Of course they are. Now we present to you the 38 pattern. Rodney King was 38 when he beat his girlfriend. George Floyd was 3 years and 8 months apart. Actually, that information is deleted. Nostradamus found out after the fact that that date is completely different, so it's not connected. However, George Floyd was held down for 9 minutes and 29 seconds. 9 plus 29 is 38. When were the LA riots? On the 29th. Date? On a Wednesday? 9 letters. So for those of you that might have missed that information, they're probably like, what did he just say? That's right. George Floyd was held down for 9 minutes and 29 seconds. 9 plus 29 is 38. And the 929 is connected to the LA riots. The LA riots were started on Wednesday, 9 letters, the 29th date of the month. 929. So for those of you that need a visual again on that 929 George Floyd being held down for, here's the visual on that. George Floyd was also 38 apart when Rodney King died. We'll show you that. 38 years, 3 days, and 8 months old Rodney King was. George Floyd was when Rodney King died. Magic, of course it is. The George Floyd family received $27 million in their settlement. The Rodney King settlement was $3.8 million. 27 plus 3.8 will give you, again, the number 38. Rodney King was awarded $3.8 million for the beating he took. The movie, Don't Be a Menace to South Central, the budget of that film was $3.8 million. We already showed that earlier in the video. The LA riots anniversary to the LA protests are separated by 38 days. Of course they are, as Rodney King was awarded $3.8 million for the beating. Donald Trump and Rodney King are 38 in seconds apart to each other. Of course they are. There it is. You can see it for yourself. 38. And believe it or not, the Rodney King beating video goes 3 seconds into the 8-minute mark before it officially cuts off camera. 3 seconds of the 8-minute mark of the video. The Rodney King video. 38. Now, for those of you that are still wet behind the ears and don't know about Rodney King, let's show you the beating video of Rodney King. Again, viewer discretion is advised. Now remember, Dam-Rodney showed you earlier in the video that a news source said that Rodney King was getting beaten on for a total of 1 minute and 19 seconds. But if you watch the actual video here, he's clearly still getting beaten on well past the 1 minute and 19 seconds part of the clip. So you can see how you can debunk certain information on the internet. You just got to watch the video. You can clearly see that's well over 1 minute, 19 seconds. For whatever reason, they are blocking the numbers on the screen where Dam-Rodney was able to show you before the 8 minute 3 second mark of the video, where it cuts off here in a second. So here you'll notice they cut it off at 8:03. You see it there? It cut off at 8:03. All right, look again. This is what Nostradamus was talking about. Pay attention to the bottom of the screen here. Rodney King versus George Floyd. Both victims of police brutality. Both are thugs. The first 9/11 call for Rodney King's death was placed at 5:25. George Floyd died on 5:25. There it is. Police in Rialto received the first emergency call from the residents at 5:25 in the morning. George Floyd to the Rodney King beating. Freemasonry found on the fourth weekday of the year 1717. George Floyd was best friends with Steven Jackson, the NBA player, a well-documented Freemason. George Floyd is connected to Freemasonry. His father is a well-known Freemason. How many days between the founding of Black History Month to George Floyd's birth date? Freemasonry, found on the fourth weekday of 1717. And again, George Floyd to the Rodney King beating, he was those same exact numbers apart to the beating. And his birth date is the same numbers apart to Black History Month. Rodney King was beaten in March, 5 letters, the 3rd month. Rodney King's birth date to George Floyd's birthday in the same calendar year. So again, if you compare a calendar year with George Floyd and Rodney King's birthday, their birthdays are 53 days apart in the same calendar year. When was Rodney King beaten? March, 5 letters, 3rd month, 53. George Floyd's death to the Trump presidency, 53 months apart. Of course it is. George Floyd's death to Donald Trump winning the election, 4 years, 5 months, 12 days apart. Trump won the election on the 45th week of the year. The second weekday, which happened to be the 45th Tuesday of the year, and he also won on the 45th day of fall. May 12th is connected to George Floyd. May 12th is when the judge found more factors to present the case of Derek Chauvin. May 12th. Rodney King and George Floyd had 4 officers respond to their crime scenes. George Floyd's death to his birthday in the same calendar year, 4 months, 20 weeks, and his birthday, or born on Wednesday, 9 letters. His birthday of the year 2020 was on a Wednesday, 4/29. The LA riots were on 4/29. There it is. His birthday was on a Wednesday of the same year he died on. Rodney King was beaten in March, 3rd month, 5 letters. Brian Allen, one of King's passengers, received a $35,000 settlement. George Floyd died in May, 3 letters, the 5th month, 35. There it is. George Floyd had a Freemason emblem on his body. Just showed George Floyd is connected to Freemasonry. The Rodney King attack had 3 surgeons operating on him for 5 hours. 3 surgeons operated on Rodney King's body for 5 hours. Not 2 surgeons, not 4 surgeons. 3 of them. Not 4 hours, not 6 hours. It was 5 hours. Of course it was. George Floyd's death to Derek Chauvin charged, 47 weeks apart. Rodney King died at 47. The Freemason compass is 47 degrees. Rodney King and George Floyd had protests and looting going on following the outcomes of their events. George Floyd's death to the Chauvin verdict, 28,512,000 seconds. Rodney King died on the 28th anniversary of his father's death. Ain't that something? Both of them died on Father's Day involving water. So Rodney King apparently drowned. Find that hard to believe. And his father died in a bathtub. Ain't something. All these people have the same connections to each other. It's always something with a bathtub or water and drowning. Always. There's always water involved. Right? Whitney Houston. Right? They said Whitney Houston drowned. Really? And did you know that at Rodney King's memorial, they specifically played one of Whitney Houston's famous song? Can't believe I just said it the way that came out. Whitney Houston's famous song, I Will Always Love You. That's got to be by design, right? That's got to be. Isn't it something how Whitney Houston died in the same year Rodney King died? 4 months and 7 days apart. And how old was Rodney King when he died? He was 47. Counting from the 11th to the 17th is 7 days. Rodney King died at 47. We're talking about Whitney Houston, last name Houston. Where does George Floyd live? George Floyd lived in Houston before he died. We'll show that later on in the video. But yes, George Floyd happened to live in Houston. Ain't that something? Counting from the 3rd to the 11th is 9 days. 2 towers hit on 9/11. That's Whitney Houston's death to the Rodney King beating. Even that's connected because they played Whitney Houston's song at his memorial service. So you see, they didn't just pick Whitney Houston because she's a good singer. No, they picked Whitney Houston because her numbers line up. It's all part of a satanic ritual. You're watching satanic rituals in front of your face every day, and a lot of you don't even realize it. And that's what these numbers are here to show you. Whitney Houston's death to Rodney King's birth date, 10 months, 9 days, 46 years. We already talked about Donald Trump. Donald Trump's birth year is 1946. Another thing you should pick up on, Freemasonry, 24th date, 6th month. The Masonic compass is 47 degrees. Rodney King was beaten by 4 police officers. Again, look at the total days apart. 1717, the founding year of Freemasonry. Did you also notice the days between? 11/6. Rodney King was pronounced dead on the 11th minute of the 6th hour. And that, by the way, was just brand new content right in front of your face, not even on this entire document whatsoever. Whitney Houston was never even an original subject matter for Nostradamus in the original work of this video. You just got free information that wasn't even thought about during the process of making all of this content together. Did you notice Whitney Houston was born on a 9th date and died on an 11th date of the 2nd month? 2 towers were hit on 9/11. Ain't that something? Ain't that something that Whitney Houston's song was played at Rodney King's memorial, and it just so happened that that song released in 1992, the same exact year as the Los Angeles riots, which was about the Rodney King beating. Ain't that something? To see how all of these numbers have connected from 25 plus years ago. And it's all still coming together. Like the Rodney King beating happened yesterday, even though it was 34 years ago. Did you catch on to the fact that Whitney Houston died on February 11th and her song, I Will Always Love You, officially released on that number in reverse order of 11-2? Check that out. She died on 2/11 and her song released on 11-2. Oh, wow, that's magic right there. Look at that. 611 days. Whitney Houston's song, I Will Always Love You, just so happened it magically dropped 611 days after Rodney King took an ass whooping. 611 days after the fact. What time did Rodney King die on? 6/11. Check it out. Rodney King was pronounced dead at 6:11 in the morning. All right, that's enough with Whitney Houston. Got to go on because there's more content to it. George Floyd's death to the Chauvin verdict. Already mentioned this. They both, father, son, died on Father's Day involving water. May 12th was the prosecution which sought a higher prison term for Chauvin. Fun fact, by the way, for those of you that may not know this, Father's Day started on 9/11, by the way. So check it out. 1910 contains 9/11. Again, the first Father's Day started on the 19th. Reverse, 9/11. The year contains 9/11. Father's Day started on 9/11, 9/11. Rodney King's death to the first Father's Day celebration, 29 days and 11 months. Two towers hit on 9/11 on the 254th day of the year. Now we mentioned the 28th, how Rodney King died on the 28th anniversary of his father's death. Now the number varies depending upon the news source, of course, but according to NBC News, George Floyd told officers he couldn't breathe 28 times. Rodney King's body bag number equals to 28. Yes, believe it or not, the body bag number of Rodney King will add up to the number 28. Are you ready for the show? Check it out for yourself. 46855. Rodney King was beaten by 4 police officers on Sunday, 6 letters, where he would receive 55 baton beatings. Just to give you more connecting numbers. There is nothing with the 8 as of yet, but just to show a 46 and a 55 connection. The LA riots started on the 29th date. The Rodney King autopsy report is 29 pages long. George Floyd died 29 years after the Rodney King beating. There it is, the autopsy report of Rodney King, 29 pages. For those of you that want to see the body bag number, here it is, right there on the screen so you can see. Numberdamus ain't making up this information. And would you look at the toe tag? The number of the toe tag is 29617. Again, 29. The LA riots started on the 29th date. George Floyd died 29 years after the Rodney King beating. Rodney King died on 6/17. Rodney King received 55 baton blows. George Floyd was the oldest of 5 siblings, and he had 5 children. 55. 5 siblings, 5 children. Rodney King got beaten in March, 5 letters. George Floyd died in the 5th month. The vast majority of the blows King received happened in the first 55 seconds. 55 years separate Rodney King to Floyd's death. The LA riots started on 6/6. Take Rodney King's death date and add it up as 6 plus 17 plus 20 plus 12 will give you 55. Trump to the LA riots, 55. Freddie Helms, one of King's passengers, received a $20,000 settlement. He died at 20. 2020, put it together, George Floyd died that year over a $20 counterfeit bill. 20 days before Trump's birthday. Trump lost the 2020 election. All right, let's rehearse that again. It's so unbelievable. So for those of you that didn't pick up on that, this literally did all happen. Freddie Helms was one of the passengers in Rodney King's vehicle. He received a $20,000 settlement, and he died at the age of 20. 2020 is the year George Floyd died over a $20 counterfeit bill, which also magically happened 20 days before Trump's birthday, in which Trump lost the 2020 election. George Floyd's death to Trump's birthday, so you can see it for yourself. Trump claims to be 6'3", but those of you that really look at a picture of Donald Trump, he's clearly not 6'3". But if Google says he's 6'3", we'll throw it in the video. Even though most people can look at Donald Trump and realize there's no way that that guy is 6'3". There were 63 deaths at the LA riots. Rodney King is 6'3". 6300 was the address number to King's funeral. Al Sharpton was one of the speakers at Rodney King's service. Al Sharpton is a Freemason. Al Sharpton and Rodney King are 35 days apart. 38 is the settlement number for Rodney King, $3.8 million for the beating he took in March. The 3rd month, March, is 5 letters. That's how the 38-35 comes together. Al Sharpton was 450 months old when the Los Angeles riots were taking place in April, the 4th month, and April is 5 letters. And Al Sharpton to the LA protests that are going on right now in Los Angeles, 3 days, 3 to the 6th, that's 3 days, and 8 months between October to June, 38. What was Rodney King's settlement? $3.8 million. There, Al Sharpton delivered the eulogy at King's funeral at Forest Lawn Memorial Park. There's the address number, 6300. Now we have the 210 pattern to show you. Rodney King's birth time multiplied by his death time, multiplied by the first emergency call received about his death, that will equal the interstate number he was driving on, 210. Ain't that magic? That the interstate number that Rodney King happened to be driving on just so happens to be the foundation date of Racist History Month. Yes, believe it or not. Racist History Month was found on February 10th, also known as Black History Month. Why we call it Racist History Month? Because no other races have a month all to themselves. That's why it's called Racist History Month. Not even the Native Americans have their own month. And they were slaughtered off their homeland. But they don't have a month, but black people do. Make that make sense. There it is. Check it out. Gerald Ford is the one that officially recognized Racist History Month as an official celebration. Just to further explain how this all works, Rodney King's birth time is 7 o'clock. The zeros hold no value, so you just do the number 7. His death time is 6:11, and the first emergency call about his death was 5:25. Multiply those across 2100. Zeros don't hold no value, but the first three numbers, 210, is the interstate number he was driving on, which magically, again, happens to be the celebration of Racist History Month. Just have to repeat it because it's that unbelievable. You'll miss out if it's not repeated sometimes. It's that insane how these numbers are connected. Oh, and if you thought that we were done, oh no. Now we got to show you the 333 Freemasonry pattern to all of this craziness going on. Rodney King had 3 passengers in his car when he was beaten on 3-3 by 3 white officers. At Interstate 210, 2 plus 1 is 3, he left behind 3 children at the time of his death. At 12:30, King's car was spotted by police. 2 plus 1 is 3. Beaten on 3-3. He received 33 blows. The verdicts at the trial were based on the first 3 seconds of videotape. A 3-hour sentence hearing. The Ninth Circuit Court. 9 is 3 plus 3 plus 3. King first stood for his trial on 3-9. 9 is 3 plus 3 plus 3. The officers that were subsequently sentenced to 30 months in prison. Another 3. Timothy Wind and the other officer were acquitted of all charges. Rodney King was born 333 years after the first police force in America was found, also known as the Boston Watch. So, some information about the police. The police force was found on Mark of the Beast, the 14th date of the 4th month. Mark of the Beast to numbers is 144. Police is also 666. Police, P is the 16th letter of the alphabet. Police is 6 letters, and police letters to numbers is 60. 666. Take a look. The Boston Watch. 4/14 of 1631. The first police force in America was created, which happened to have 175 residents. Freemasonry was found on the 175th day of the year. So what does that go to show you? All police departments are connected to Freemasonry. And what you're not supposed to know, that Nostradamus is now going to expose to all of you, why are police so corrupt? Is because every single police department in America is situated within a 5-mile radius of a Masonic lodge in towns with 700 people or more, respectively. So again, we're going to repeat that. Every single police department in the United States of America is situated within a 5-mile radius of a Masonic lodge. And what you're not supposed to know is that there are many police officers who are Freemasons. There are many judges who are Freemasons. So while a lot of you are still acting crazy on why there's so much police brutality, why the police is so corrupt is because it all depends on the judges. The judges, a lot of them are Freemasons. A lot of them are connected to Freemasonry. So just because you have the Constitution, it does not mean anything. You have to get lucky and have a judge that has a good attitude that day. Look at Freemasonry. They control everything. They literally control all the police departments. They control the judges. A lot of the decisions by the judges is operated by Freemasonry. Another thing you're not supposed to know. A person who is a Freemason going on trial against someone who is not a Freemason, more times than not, that person standing trial who is a documented Freemason, more times than not, will have a lesser of a sentence than the person next to him that is not a Freemason. Freemasons often or not get lighter sentences than those who are not Freemasons. It's a corrupt system. And they all protect each other. And this might answer a lot of your questions. Do Freemasons believe in Jesus Christ? No. Freemasons worship Lucifer. You cannot worship two gods. It is in Scripture. You either worship Christ or you worship Lucifer. Freemasons bow down to Lucifer. Jesus Christ is not a brotherhood. Freemasons are a brotherhood. Jesus Christ does not forsake anyone. Freemasons do. If you go against the order of Freemasonry, you will get sacrificed. Freemasons will have you sacrificed if you go against the order that all Freemasons are bound to follow. If that order is not followed and you are a Freemason, your time is coming. You will be sacrificed by your own brotherhood who you thought was loyal to you. So you better watch your back. And you will have nobody else to blame but yourself for joining a demonic force instead of believing in Jesus Christ. That'll be your own fault. Rodney King committed his first documented crime on a third date. The LA riots were held on the third weekday. Rodney King had 3 lovers in his life. There's the names of the lovers he's had. Whether they are wife or girlfriend, those are who he had in his life. Rodney King checked into rehab in May, 3 letters. Rodney King pleaded to protesters, not prosecutors. He pleaded to protesters on May 1st. We already talked about the Illuminati. Illuminati was found on May 1st. That also just so happened to be the third day of the riots. And the month he pleaded was May, 3 letters. And he was beaten on 3-3. Rodney King received a citation for driving on an expired license on the 20th anniversary of his ass whooping 3-3 of 2011. 2 plus 1 is 3. 2 plus 1 again here is 3. 33 degrees of Freemasonry. 3 stages of Freemasonry. The first 911 call on King's death was placed at 5:25. 5 minus 2 is 3. 5 minus 2 backwards is 3. 33. Rodney King died at 47. 7 minus 4 is 3. SWAT had an episode called 3 17-year-olds that talks about Rodney King. It also goes to show here that the beating was also depicted in Season 3 of TV show 9/11. Of course it was, right? Of course it was. Freddie Helms, one of King's passengers, died on this date, 3 months after King's beating in June. June is the 6th month, and 6 is 3 plus 3. July 1995, King was sentenced to 90 days in jail. 90 is 30 plus 30 plus 30. 333. Zeros hold no value. And that was for hit and run charges. There was 303 days left in the year when Rodney King took an ass whooping. Yes, believe it or not, 303 days left when he took an ass whooping on 3-3. How many words did George Floyd famously say? 3 words. George Floyd lived in the 3rd Ward, also known as the Bricks, for those of you that are not familiar with Texas. George Floyd lived in Houston. We already talked about Whitney Houston. George Floyd lived in the 3rd Ward, the Bricks of Houston. Counting from the 4th to the 2nd is 30 days. 3 months and 30 days apart. Central casting is to Rodney King. Again, central casting employs crisis actors and body doubles. News about the LA riots specifically mentioned 3 other beatings. And these are the people that they mentioned. Black History Month started 2/7/1926 to the LA protests. Here are the numbers. 66 years. Ain't that something? How the LA protests started on 6/6. And what is 66 breaking down to? 33 and 33. When was Rodney King beaten? On 3/3 with 303 days left in the year. And again, if you look here, Black History Month to the LA protests, 3 months and 30 days apart. 33. 2 towers hit on 9/11. Rodney King was beaten in the 3rd month. He died on Sunday, 6 letters, on the 28th anniversary of his father's death. The Rodney King beating to the LA protests, there's all the 3s. There's the 6. Rodney King took a beating on Sunday, 6 letters. Which also happened to be 3 months, 3 days, 34 years apart, beaten by 4 police officers. There's those numbers. You can see it for yourself, all in plain sight. Rodney King had received 11 skull fractures during the beating when he was 25 years old, beaten up by 4 police officers. The 254th day of the year was the attack in the 11th state, the 9/11 attacks. The 254th day of the year in the 11th state. Trump to the Rodney King beating, 333 contained in the weeks apart. How many total days between the dates of Donald Trump and the Rodney King beating? 333. The Rodney King beating, the full date of the beating multiplied by 333. 11 skull fractures, 55 total baton beatings he took on 3/3. Rodney King beating to the Trump presidency was 33 years and 3 days apart. Rodney King took an ass whooping 3 months before Trump's birthday. 3 weeks separate George Floyd's death to Trump's birthday on a calendar year. Rodney King was beaten on 3/3. The settlement amounts of the Rodney King case. He received $3.8 million. The other guy received $35,000. And the next person received $20,000. Now you got to check this out. So now y'all can look at this on the screen, how Numberdamus is going to get this number of 3333. You got the 3 here, and you got a 3 here, right? Now, where are the other 2 subliminal 3s hiding, right? 8 minus 5 is 3. 5 minus 2 is 3. 33, 33. Rodney King was beaten on 3-3 with 303 days left in the year. Rodney King's beating date multiplied by the frequency, the vibration, and the energy, 963. 3333. The LA riots started on Wednesday, 9 letters. And if you look at some of who responded to the LA riots, was the 77th Street Division of the LAPD. Trump has represented 3 elections, one of which he lost on a third date, 313. Trump won his first presidency on the 313th day of the year. The Rodney King verdicts were based on the first 3 seconds of a blurry 13-second segment, 313. The Vatican, the Catholic Church, both of those were found in the year 313. Rodney King's birthday to the LA protests. You have 216, 216, both in there. All right, 22. One of Rodney King's passengers settled for $20,000 and he died at the age of 20. 22. Rodney King suffered 11 skull fractures. And 66. The LA protests started on 6/6. On Friday, 6 letters, 666. Rodney King's birthday to the LA protests is 66 days, 2 months, and 4 days apart. There's 4 days, 2nd to the 6th. Freemasonry, 624, 624. Trump is born on the 6th month, 24th week of the year. Trump is born on Friday, 6 letters, 24th week of the year. 624, 624. Donald Trump's birth time, 1054, plus the death time of Rodney King will equal the exact seconds apart that Rodney King's birthday is apart to the Los Angeles protests. A containment of the same numbers, 56, 16, 16, 65. Trump was 66 when Rodney King died. Donald John Trump is 15 letters. Rodney King's death to Trump's first day in office, 66, 24 minutes apart. So again, I'm going to reiterate this. Rodney King's birthday to the LA protests is 66 days, 2 months, and 4 days apart. Trump was born in the 6th month, 24th week of the year. Trump was born on Friday, 6 letters, the 24th week of the year. And again, Rodney King's death to Trump's first day in office is 66, 24 minutes apart. And again, Trump's birth time plus Rodney King's death time is 1665. Donald John Trump is 15 letters, and Trump was 66 when Rodney King died. Rodney King died at 47. Trump's the 47th president. Trump took office 47 apart to King's death. Counting from the 17th to the 20th is 4 days. 4 days, 7 months apart. Trump took office in January 20th specifically, 12 years. 1, 2. Read the date. You can also use this information and go backwards, okay? Trump left office January 20th at the age of 74. George Floyd is 47 years apart to Black History Month, or you could say Racist History Month. There it is, 47 years. Rodney King is 4,007 months apart to the first police force in America. We already talked about that, 333 years apart. There's 9/11 contained, and there's the 47. He died at 47. Trump was 74 when he left office. Lucifer to numbers is 74. Trump and Rodney King are 74 days apart on a calendar year. 7th date, the evidence of the Rodney King trial was presented. And on the 4th date, the grand jury returned indictments for the Rodney King trial. Rodney King was listed at 74 inches tall on his autopsy report. 74 inches tall on his autopsy report. Lucifer to numbers, 74. Rodney King died at 6/11. Trump won on 11/6 the election. The LA riots happened in April, 4th month, April, 5 letters. Trump, 45. Check this out. Trump was magically 45 years apart to the LA riots. And would you look at this? Counting from the 14th to the 29th is 16 days. And now you will read the number as 10/16. Wow, ain't that magic? Trump won the election on 11/6. What was Rodney King's death time? Do y'all remember? Let's rehash your memory. There's a lot of numbers involved here. Rodney King died magically on the 11th minute of hour 6. There he is. He was pronounced dead on the 11th minute of hour 6. Ain't that magic? George Floyd lived at this public housing. And they have 45 4-bedroom apartments for Rodney King getting beaten up by 4 police officers, by the way. Now, that's not the real reason, but it's just magic how smooth that Dam-Rodney was able to read that across like that's supposed to be. 45 4-bedroom units. That's no big deal, right? No big deal. That's how it's supposed to be. The Rodney King beating was on 3/3/1991. 33 plus 1991 is the year Donald Trump won the election. 2024. Ain't they magic? This is a magic show, people.
Gonna sell my soul. I already made up my mind. No matter what, I can't be but a soul.
78 days left in the year when George Floyd was born. 78 years old Trump was when he won the election. Here's the 6/14 pattern. Flag Day, 6/14. Trump's birthday, 6/14. 614 people died at World Trade Center number 2 on 9/11. George Floyd died on Monday, 6 letters, on the 146th day of the year. On June 14th, 1996, the High Court of the Rodney King case reversed the lower court in a ruling. There it is. Check it out. Monday, 6 letters, the 146th day of the year. And now, one last thing to go with this project. Some of you might find this really interesting. How Rodney King died 77 days apart to his ass whooping. Ain't that something? Oh boy. It's crazy. It's just crazy. And you know what else is crazy? Dam predicted Donald Trump was going to win the election based off of the number 777. So you should head out, payhip.com, and check out Trump 777, the sequel. A full breakdown on how Donald Trump won the election based off the number 777. Thank you all for watching this video.